Well, today, I'm so proud to have Governor Jeb Bush with us. It's a privilege to have you here with us, Governor.
So you mentioned earlier a little bit about using this time as an opportunity to really focus on differentiated instruction for each child, meeting them where they are and being able to really drive outcomes for them. How do you see, give us some thoughts around how you think accountability metrics should be in place for this virtual world and component, because I think we do have an opportunity to really focus on every child being able to meet their academic performance now. So how do you see that as a whole in terms of accountability?
It's hard. It's to move from a system that has one test kind of 3/4 of the way through the school year, being an indicator of how students are doing, to a system where you master the material and move on. So the assessment is not a end of year or end of course assessment necessarily, but you build, you break up the learning experience, I guess, in building blocks, and you're assessing as you go along. And the challenge is that transformation is so different than where we are today. To get to that end result, my fear is that we end up not being able to get there and eliminate accountability. So I don't have an easy answer. I would like to get to the system you described, because I think it would generate far faster learning gains and a lot more creativity in the classroom for sure. And I think it'd be a lot more invigorating and interesting for teachers to be able to manage the learning experience rather than teach in front of 20 kids, right? Because they would have to be more empowered for their own learning, and you would be their coach if you're moving to that differentiated kind of model. So the accountability system of the new system would have to be in place before the old system. You get rid of the accountability system, and that transfer, that process could be ugly. So there has to be some confidence that you can get to this new model, which I think is far better than, it reflects the world we're in right now, the 21st century world, where there's more customization, more personalization, where students learn differently, where you have technology backing up the learning experience, both at home and in the classroom. To me, that's a far better system. And how you get there, with politicians always fearful about big changes, that's kind of what my foundation we work on. It's not an easy process though.
And one of the things that we have found is when we started this process, we did create a way that we are updating parents on a weekly basis. Awesome. Using technology that we have. And what we are finding is when parents do have the information for how their child is doing during this time, they really are responding. Yeah. They really are trying to get their kids involved in their learning. And so, like you, I would hate to see us move away from accountability. I think moving towards placing that accountability back where it belongs, between the teacher and the parent and the student, and really having a way to drive that discussion individually is key. And how do you create that accountability system around that is going to be a really good conversation, I think, for people to have.
Absolutely. And imagine, with AI now, you could accelerate what you're doing with your parents of informing them every week is fantastic. You could also give them a blueprint. Even with the existing accountability system, if we could, if we put the tests online, have immediate assessment, get back to the existing teacher the information for the end of this, move the test closer to the end of the year, the tests, have the parent be given the information about where their kid is doing great and where their kid's not doing great, and then where the remediation has to happen in the summer, and provide that same information to the next year's teacher so that you have this seamless process of a parent and teacher much more transparently engaged in the students' learning. That we can do today. And we can do it in a way, you guys know this in Florida, the accountability system, if you go online, state DOE, unless it's changed, it's an Excel spreadsheet, of every school, and it's like 1,000 numbers. It's so much information, you don't have any information. But you could customize the information of where little Johnny's, status is in learning in a very cost-effective way, in a really relevant way where parents could be even more engaged. And ultimately, these changes will happen when parents demand it.